Evaluating the program Connecting with Practice, Enjoying the Vegetable Garden, the presentation. Hello, my name is Neeraj. Consider a garden where flowering as perfectly as the vegetable there, an environment where inquiry, observation, and practical investigation on the part of children spur of the learning. Such environments are responsive to the interest, curiosity, and agency of children that facilitate early childhood education. The reflection is grounded on the enjoying the vegetable garden of the series of practice offered by Early Childhood Australia 2013, and it is intended to assess how the specified program facilitated learning development and participation in meaningful and real life experiences among children. I will base the presentation assignment on the Early Years Learning Framework version 2.0 and the National Quality Standard as the framework to view the context and content of activity. The assessment strategies, pedagogical approaches, learning environment, and professional practice. I will look back on what was done right, which can be improved, and how learning can be extended, with a special emphasis on the role of educator in developing an inquiry-based collaborative and development-rich learning environment, which result in management, problem solving, and environment consciousness. Context and content evaluation. The first part of my presentation starts by focusing on the context evaluation. A small backyard garden provides a rich hand-on environment in the winged of Maya, Crystal, and Abby. As the teacher takes Maya and Crystal to choose carrots to pick, Abby spots a cricket on the spinach, and the teacher starts talking about the purpose of insect. There are practical, collaborative, and problem solving experiences that fit the outcomes of EYLF 2.0, as these outcomes require connection with the world and confidence as learners. The family and community involvement makes learning center based. The educator relates the garden experience to family routine and cultural practice by asking children to wash and take home their vegetables harvested, which is an NQS Quality Area 6 on partnership with families ASICA 2020. Nature based and outdoor settings are also favorable to inclusive learning among children of different cultural and lingual backgrounds. Common expenses, the senses can out across all language divides and allow significant engagement with such example of shared experiences as touching soil, smelling herbs, watching insects, and these community engagement which brings a sense of belonging and appreciation of different knowledge practice incorporating real life practical experiences. The program facilitates cognitive, social, and emotional learning and model purposeful culturally sensitive instruction and how deliberately contextual design can add value to the engagement and learning in early childhood education practices. Evaluation of assessment techniques. Next, let us focus on the evaluation of assessment techniques. The educator in the vignette enjoying the vegetables garden, which can be applied for formative and observational assessment effectively, which is most appropriate according to the early years learning framework version 2.0, where the assessment is regarded as an important part of the learning. The teachers monitors Maya, Crystal, and Abby and their exploration of carrots, water plants, and insects, and analyze their spoken words and non-verbal action to ascertain how they are meeting their learning goals, including learning how to grow plants, building cooperation, and becoming environmentally responsible. Example of Crystal, the comment about marigold, the harbor of the bugs, is the actual sign of developing ecological reasoning skills and scientific thinking. And the interest in the cricket is the sign of inquiry skills, the possibility of solving the problem, and social learning, as demonstrated by Abby. Describing these spontaneous occurrences as assessment data, the educator record both meaningful and which can be the real-time learning. The very reflection of children is a type of assessment evidence. Hearing these conceptions, the educators can see their thinking, feelings, and growing precipitations which can be used to make plans in response to the needs of each child. To reinforce further the practice, documentation is the form of photograph, garden journal, or anecdotal notes may be systematically reviewed with colleagues. It is necessary to ensure differentiated planning to build upon the interest and capabilities of each child. With such documentation, EYLF outcomes 2. Children are connected with their world, and 4. Children are confident and involved learners can be seen as visible in learning by the children, families, and educators. According to Kakena and Galopanu 2024, pedagogical documentation converts a passive reflective process which allows one to access the curriculum based on the outcome and consequently improve the engagement of family to facilitate ongoing enhancement, which is the purpose of pedagogical documentation. Most importantly, unless such observations are made deeper through documented or planned thought, learning might be superficial at best with little scope to cognitive, social, or cultural enhancement. The combination of child voice, systematic observation, and effective documentation will make the assessment dynamic. It will inform the deliberate and reactive teaching and support the long term learning outcomes. Pedagogical approach assessment. Now, how well is the pedagogical approach reinforced in this context? The pedagogical approach of the garden is very purposeful, inquiry based, and child centered, which also represents the EYLF principle of equity, diversity, and agency 2022. The teachers facilitates learning and facilitates independence, as in the case of when Abby observed a cricket on spinach. The educator does not redirect her, instead turns the observation into a common question, asking, "Why do you suppose it is here?" The dialogue is an example of continuous joint thinking and is the indication of theory of Vygotsky 1978 that learning occurs in the social mediated zone of promaxial development of a child, which is does the curiosity of Abby promote cognitive development but social development as well? Because missionaries discuss, come up with theories, and resolve problems together. This is where responsible teaching, which emergent interest influence the learning course comes in. The process of curriculum decision making is flexible, which implies reflective practice. Chan 2023, the example of switching between harvesting of carrots and insect exploration, is an example of how pedagogy can change, meaning that learning is not predetermined but can be constructed through observation in action. The garden experience encompasses several areas, namely STEM reasoning, measurement, and observation contribute to the development of logic literacy. The children explain and ask questions, social emotional learning, collaboration in watering the garden, and decision making. According to Joe's ETI 2025, when inquiry and collective drive the learning process, small group gardening programs are associated with improved collaboration, ecological knowledge, and interest. On the same note, Grisberg EI 2021 point out that small groups favor deliberate teaching and reflective scaffold, which enables teachers to focus on individual learning requirements as well as encourage social engagement. The educators in form of pedagogical documentation can also enhance the pedagogy, which could be in the form of garden journals, photographs, and family reflection board, where the learning experience of the children is visible, planning cycles are collaborative, and child voice can be infused into practice. As an example, a systematic review by Alcom Olgan 2021 concluded that pedagogical documentation enhances and builds a stronger goal setting between homes and centers. Incorporation of abnormal and Torrance Islander values such as food cycles of the season, land care, and bus stroke knowledge would enhance cultural literacy in children and awareness of sustainability. Engaging the families to contribute recipe or planting story also helps to promote cultural continuity, and EYLF Principle 3, partnership with families, purposeful responsive pedagogy impacting critical reflection, inclusive procedure, and visible recording. Therefore, encouragement are more fruitful learning results among all the children's. Assessment of learning space. We also need to evaluate the learning space. Is it favorable or not, and how can we improve it? The garden is a well thought out indoor space that promotes exploration, teamwork, and sensory interaction. It enables a small group interaction as well as independent observation. To illustrate this, the observation of cricket by AB symbolizes personal inquiry and the act of social emotional learning, and cooperation is enhanced through social emotional learning and cooperation through voting. Such outdoor learning areas help in developing a sense of belonging. EYLF outcome 2 and 4 as well as confidence and engagement 2022. Problem solving, critical problem solving and real world learning, which are vital in effective early learning, are facilitated by sensory and hands-on experiences in real life situations. The issues of safety, supervision, and accessibility are controlled. The teacher oversees and gives independence, demonstrates the safe use of tools, and maintains hygiene when picking vegetables, which represent NQS quality area 2. Notably, the space results in reflection and discussion that foster peer conversation and mutual reasoning. Additional cultural inclusion strategy would involve having Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander knowledge integrated directly, such as planting cycles or bus talks. The family might also engage in activities like sharing the tradition of planting, recipe, or practice related to the environment, reinforcing home-school relationship without the extension of learning experience in the documentation or the cultural context. These could be chance of missing the opportunities of deeper cognitive and social and cultural learning. The design of learning space through intentional planning that incorporate reflective observation, documentation, and family engagement can make the learning space a source of continuous and developmentally rich experience. Evaluation of professional practice. The professional practice portrayed in the enjoying the vegetable garden is highly effective with regard to the deliberate teaching responsive and cordial relationship. The educator treats Maya, Crystal, and Abby with respect and sensitivity, which helps the educator instill trust and belonging in accordance with NQS National Quality Standard Area 5. The interaction are indicative of knowledge of how good interaction form the basis of engagement and learning. In terms of professional development, the approach of educator can be understood in reference to the Australian Professional Standard of Teachers, especially Standard 3.3.1 and Standard 6.2.1, which are defined by the importance of intentional teaching and continuous learning. To further enhance the practice, the educator could collaborate with other employees to share experience of reflection and peer feedback and work with families to introduce cultural and experiential diversity to the program, such as including family tradition of gardening. Reflection and future direction. When considering the experience of enjoying the vegetable garden, it is possible to note that the children were highly engaged, collaborative, and inquired about the topic. The inquiry based and mindful approach to teaching provided by the educator created an interest in learning and ownership through EYLF principle of children are confident and active learners. In a study of JOS 2025, it is pointed out that gardening activities can provide meaningful long term interactions. The second step to proceed is to create a long term project based gardening intervention that entails co construction of objective among children. The inclusion of family and cultural involvement will enhance the effect of project. The families may also work on the project by offering information about gardening practice, recipe or eco-friendly activities that represent the various cultural background. This kind of collaboration enhances partnership as well as cultural continuity, which is accordance with the EYLF principle of partnership with families, continuous deliberative discussion, peer representation, documentation, garden journals, exhibit of photographs, which assist in monitoring the progress of learning and making changes to the curriculum. Finally, the process of reflection is a cycle and it is constantly used to develop and optimize future practice to increase the outcomes of learning and community engagement. Conclusion. High quality early childhood programs flourish when they are reflective, intentional, and responsive to the needs, interest, and development studies of children. It is enjoyable the vegetable garden. It is shown that the inquiry based close up experience can enable children to be interested, cooperative, problem solving, and in touch with the natural environment. As emphasized by the program, it is necessary to have meaningful learning opportunities, supportive learning environments, and deliberate teaching strategies. The ongoing reflection on the practice assessment and learning outcome is what we help with the educator to recognize their strength, correct their mistake and strategy, or how to proceed with their future experiences. The process of review and self reflection enable educators to strengthen the learning of children as well as enrich their professional development, thus making that early childhood program are inclusive as well as rich in development and profoundly effective all learners. There are some references I have attached in the like uh, Chen JJ 2023 Australian Children Education Care Quality Authority 2022. Thank you so much.